All right, in 3, 2, 1. What's up, YouTube? Straight Facts, homie. We are live, I believe so. Talking Patriots and Chargers, and more so the downfall of the New England organization. We'll get to that in a minute. Everything looks good on my end. So, gentlemen, let me get my timer going, and we can rock in a 3. Back it up. Not 3 just yet. 3. Here we go. 2. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, into the one and only Straight Facts, homie, an NFL TV show, talk show, way of life coming your way for over the next 60 minutes. My name is Mason Souza. Alongside are the guys that know their football. There's Walter Sabina and John Lyons. And speaking of knowing football, that is unfortunately not what the New England Patriots are doing as they sit at 2-10. And we're not even close to Christmas just yet. Let's just get right into it. We're live on YouTube for the reacting segment. We'll get to your comments over the next 15, 20 minutes. Voice your frustration, your answers, or your questions to your answers, whatever the case may be. We'll get to it right now. Let me open the floor. Gentlemen, let's get to it. The Patriots get shut out at home for the second time this year. The first time they've done that since they look like the early 90s, and it seems like here in 2023 they're looking like that once again.
Yeah, this is just a bad football team, and even like you look at their record 2-10, that you expect to be bad, but the play on the field, it just gets more atrocious week by week. I mean, right before the bye week, you have a 10-6 game or 10-7 game, whatever it was, against the Colts. Then you come out of the bye, and then a 10-7 loss to the New York Giants, who maybe, I've been saying that looks like the only winnable game on your schedule. Then you come into this game, the Chargers are beat up. They're not playing well. They were losers of 3 straight, and you're starting Bailey Zappi. So maybe some sort of, uplift in the locker room to get you guys going. And, Bailey Zappi comes out, and I mean, the stat line isn't that bad. 13-25, 141 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He was sacked 5 times, but you can't really look at that and say he was better than Mac Jones. He probably wasn't worse than Mac Jones, but you just look at the team overall, and it's just so bad you can't get really anything going. The best part of the team was taken away from you on the first drive when Ramondre Stevenson, who was having a great game, gets rolled up on his ankle, fumbles the ball, because I'm sure he was dealing with that ankle right away as soon as it happened, and he fumbles the ball, and you don't see him for the rest of the game. So what looked like a promising start for the Patriots and probably would have taken some pressure off of Bailey Zappi ended up becoming all for naught. And then it just kept the Patriots scrambling. Ezekiel Elliott did all he could, 17 carries, just 52 yards there. So, nothing on the offensive side of the ball. And, me and John have talked about it the last couple of weeks, and it's becoming a theme. Like, the defense must week in and week out keep thinking, what else do we have to do to like get this offense going. And you let up 6 points today to a Los Angeles Chargers, and that's another topic for discussion, how bad that team has fallen since the beginning of the season. But it's rinse and repeat, same thing with this Patriots team, and you can't get anything going on offense. And absolutely putrid performance today on offense. Passing game, running game, receivers can't get separation. Devontae, I can be your number one option. Parker not being your number one option out there, not the guy you can go to. And it's just frustrating week in and week out. And I want to see what happens the rest of the way. There something's got to be going on behind the scenes, between the defense and the offense. And we'll probably never hear it until after the season. But when the defense is putting up performances like this, 3 straight weeks where they're holding an opponent under 10 points, 10 points or under, and you're 0-3 in those games. And I think throughout the season, it's like 52-3 throughout the NFL. And you're the 3 losses. And like I said, they happened in the last 3 weeks. It's frustrating. And, the last thing I'll say is, hey, Matt Patricia last year got 29 points out of Bailey Zappi in a start. And, this year, I still trust Bill O'Brien, but when Bailey Zappi isn't the answer for your offense, neither is Mac Jones. I don't know what direction you go in here. And then all you can do is look at Bill Belichick and say, hey, this is the team you trotted out here. You really have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a number. Number's 26. That number is the total amount of points the Patriots defense has allowed in the last 3 weeks. They've lost all 3 games, as Walter said. Look, we were very lucky for 27 years. The Patriots, over that time, from 1996, they've been to 10 Super Bowls. They've won 6 of them. We all knew when Tom Brady left the offense was not going to be as good as when Tom Brady was here. However, what we have seen this season, and specifically over the last 3 games, is the worst stretch of offensive football the Patriots have had in the last 30 years. I mean, it's awful. It's truly awful offense in a league, guys, too. The rules are open for offenses to score, right? They have a new offensive coordinator who, when he was last here, put up great numbers, right? They have some guys that you're like, oh, those are okay players, and they can't even score touchdowns. Guys, the Chargers are 5.5-point favorites. They covered the spread by scoring 6 points. Like, they scored 6 points and covered the spread. Like, it's nuts. Like, this offensive, there is so many things wrong. And Walter, you mentioned the defense. They've played 12 games this year. For my money, the defense has played well enough to win 9 of them, and you have 2 wins. Like, this offense right now is so bad. And when I look around and I think about, hey, how are they going to fix this? What's the future going to look like? I can think of maybe 3, maybe 4 guys on this offense that deserve to be on the field next year as part of that's how bad it is. It's not they had some injuries or, hey, there's this one really weak spot that other teams target. No, there's so many things wrong that I think this offense, frankly, it not only has it lost them games, it's killing itself, and it's not going to be the offense that they have now is not going to be there next year. That's how bad it is.
In the wise words of one Jabril Peppers of the New England Patriots, we ass. And that's what the Patriots have been this season, and especially the last 3 weeks, as you guys mentioned. Obviously, you mentioned it a couple times, first team. Let me just read this tweet word for word from one Jeff Howe, who covers the Patriots. I'm sure well vetted information. You might want to sit down when you hear the words that are about to come out of my mouth. The Patriots are the first team since 1938. Were they even playing football in 1938 to lose 3 consecutive games in the same season when they didn't allow more than 10 points in any of those games? It's funny because same as 1938, I'm also in a Great Depression when I watch this Patriots game. It's this team. It's brutal. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic, and it's hilarious that like we ail for the Matt Patricia, Joe Judge offense days. Like, how sad is that? And at the same time, this isn't a world-renowned take or anything. This isn't anything new. You're talking about Devontae Parker, the guy that they wanted and they re-signed, the guy that they signed in the offseason, in Juju Smith-Schuster. Their star tight end is still on the field in Hunter Henry. For the most part, their offensive line is still together. Obviously, the quarterback was the backup at this point, but you bring in a guy you signed in Ezekiel Elliott. So it's not like the offense is completely depleted, dealing with injuries. Some guys are checked out, whether it be Trent Brown. Obviously, Kendrick Bourne is out for the season. But for the most part, I'd say 75-80%. This is the team that they went into the season with. This is what we're going to compete with. And they've done this entire season, and more specifically in the last 3 weeks. Absolute garbage. Walter, you said it to start. Like I'd say kudos to the defense at this point for reports to not come out of infighting in the locker room, because I can't imagine like the guys that want to explode on defense that are like, listen, I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot of guys that should be in the league for times to come. But I think of like if someone like Devin McCourty was still there, it's like, listen, this is my last hoorah. This is my last go. And we're having, a top 5, arguably, defense in this entire year. It's like similar to what I thought about like the New York Jets and Zach Wilson were dealing with last year. Like they were popping off immediately at that offense. And somehow the Patriots defense has held it together. So they need like some kind of Nobel Peace Award for that in itself, I think, the Patriots defense for holding it together. So, man, it's hard to find the words that haven't already been said already, because they continue with the same the talent is not there, and slowly and week by week we see play in and play out, the effort is diminishing. It's a dysfunctional team, and I've said this every time we talked about the Patriots. It's crazy to me that we're using that word on a weekly basis under a Bill Belichick-led team, dysfunction. At this point, I'm just going to say it, like, Bill has to, I'm wondering with Robert Kraft, and we can get into this if we want, maybe this is a conversation later on. Obviously, we're talking about the game itself, but does Robert Kraft owe Bill Belichick to have him play out the rest of the year? Does he owe him that with the performance that we've seen on the football field? I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, going to a couple points you had mentioned, Mason, about that tweet. Yeah, it hasn't happened since 1938. The Chicago Cardinals let up. It was actually 4 straight games for them. The Patriots are doing it 3. But looking at going forward, they got a short week. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday. Kenny Pickett just went down. I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots made it 4 straight games where they allow less than 10 or less points and end up losing the game because, like you said, the offense is atrocious. Defense is playing well. Defense is playing well without the arguably 2 great players, rookie Christian Gonzalez and Matt Judon there. And they're still playing like this. Had they had those guys, maybe you get a turnover, maybe you get a strip sack. One of the guys picks it up and returns for a touchdown. You get points that way because that's what you're going to need at this point is points from your defense. And if you guys are watching the broadcast right after halftime, the sideline reporter asked Bill Belichick, what needs to change. And I feel like things are getting so desperate in New England. He said the defense, needs to get a turnover, and you need to give, whether it be the offense a short field or we just flat out need our defense to score the points because our offense isn't doing it, however you want to translate that. But just to come out and say, instead of we need more from Bailey Zappi, we've got to get more going in the run game, anything offensively, because you haven't scored points in the last 3 weeks, you point to the defense, say we need a turnover. And again, maybe it's a little pick me up for the offense, but I just thought it was interesting that he came out and said that we need our defense to get a turnover and give our offense a short field if we want to get anything going. That didn't end up happening, but you need a little bit more from your offense. And maybe even Bill Belichick is essentially given up and, maybe waving the white flag in the locker room and saying, this is the talent on this offense isn't what, I thought it would be coming into this season. And, just looking at before Kendrick Bourne went down, at least like there were signs that you could have been better. I mean, going all the way back to week 1, competing against Philly, week 2 against Miami, and various weeks before that. And then once he went down in that game against Vegas, it was just like, who's Mac Jones throwing to? Because they had a repertoire, and this week guys can't get separation. And it's just a bunch of, misfit toys now that we're in the Christmas season for a Patriots offense. And, it's just atrocious to watch. So like I said, that Jeff Howe tweet, it's funny because it hasn't happened where a team allows 10 or less points, in 4 straight games. Hasn't happened since 1938. I wouldn't doubt the Patriots tie that and, see what happens going on from there, because this it's just an atrocious showing from the offense, and the defense is doing everything they can to keep them in games. They just, you're at a point where you need the defense to score points for you because the offense can't simply get it done.
Yeah, look, first of all, to Mason's question, I do think Belichick has earned the right to finish the year, and no matter what. But it's funny. He had a quote after the game, and he did cut his press conference short, but he had a quote I found, I think is pretty accurate. And I thought it was kind of revealing of his thoughts on the team. He said, we did not play complimentary football at all. And if you think about it, like the defense played well, but special teams, I mean, Miles Bryant ran backwards on his first punt return. Then you had how many drives start inside the 10? I think there were 3 in a row that you started inside your own 10 at one point in this game. And we know this offense. I mean, look, I don't feel good about them going 10 yards, let alone 95, right, to score. So you had that. And then, of course, how bad the offense was. And even defensively, like last year, they led the NFL in forced turnovers. They scored, I think, 9 non-offensive touchdowns. If you include special teams and defense, 8 or 9. I mean, this year they're not forcing any turnovers really, and they're not scoring any touchdowns. And I know that's not their primary job is to score, but it's something that, the defense plays great. The special team starts to let them down. The offense stinks. And then the defense keeps playing well, but they don't get that turnover. I mean, even the Patriots had a 4th and 5 on the Chargers 30 in this game and chose not to kick a field goal with their rookie 4th round draft pick kicker because they don't even trust him to make one from 35, let alone from 47. So like they have one unit that's playing really well defensively, but their other 2 units are playing poorly, and none of the units are complementing each other. Like even when the defense gets stops, like I said, then you're starting offensively inside the 10. So they are not, we know the obvious, right? They're not a good team. They're 2-9. But I think when you look at this team going forward, right? How do you fix this? What do you do? Like they are not three connected units working together towards winning a football game. They're one really good unit and then two bad ones, but they're not connected. You look at the good teams in the NFL. San Francisco and Philadelphia played earlier tonight. Like, both of those teams, the offense plays well, they get good special teams play, and the defense will hold their opponent down. Like, they complement each other. The Patriots are just not a team that has three phases connected towards winning. They just have one, and that's why we've seen 2 wins in 12 tries so far this year.
You're watching Straight Facts, homie. We are live on YouTube reacting to the Patriots falling to 2-10. There's John Lyons, Walter Sabina, and Mason Souza here. About a couple minutes left reacting to the Patriots, and we'll move on to the rest of week 13. Looking at the comments here on YouTube, you can join us around 8 o'clock p.m. On a Sunday game after the Patriots play. Obviously, Thursday Night Football coming up. But hashtag you lucky we ass, says Jason. Let's go. Number one pick still in play. Yes, with the Arizona Cardinals winning today, it looks like the Patriots are in sole possession of the number 2, I want to say.
Yeah, right now they're number 2.
So what's the deal with the Bears again? They own their pick and
Carolina
Panthers? Okay, so they're 1, 2, and 3. I would imagine the Patriots are 3. That'll be interesting to see what Chicago wants to do with 1 and 2. But yeah, at this point, obviously we're bashing the hell out of them for looking awful, but at the same time, maybe for the direction of the franchise, it's still a good thing. Remember there was a comment on our YouTube live before. I said, like, the worst thing they can do is start winning. And I guess that's right. If you're talking about the future and the direction of the team, get a number 1 pick if you believe someone like Caleb Williams will still be the best quarterback available, or it seems like it's changing in college football if you watch that and keep up to date with it. Honestly, I'll cede the rest of my time to you guys because I'm just dumbfounded at this point of how badly they've looked, and it seems like nothing. I mean, John, to your point of like the complementary football, it seems in years past and even this year, like when like momentum is a big thing. Maybe not so much in football than other sports, but it still exists. Like when you get a big play, a big turnover, then the complementary of the other side of the ball comes in. They can turn it into points. And it just seems like the offense is just a black hole on an island by itself. It doesn't matter what's happening around it. We're still going to be inept. And that's what they've been doing more so the past 3 weeks than ever before. So if you guys have any final remarks, wrapping up quarter 1, please go right ahead.
I think for me, it's not even about the Patriots. I mean, look at the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a team that, maybe had higher hopes than where they're at right now. I'll say that. They're sitting at 5-7. They just, snapped a 3-game losing streak. You've got Justin Herbert, a young, promising quarterback, Austin Eckler, who's a great, running back, pass catching back out of the backfield. You've got Keenan Allen, who's among one of the, top receivers in the league. You've got other weapons there. Gerald Everett coming over from Los Angeles. This should be a great offense. And, we've kind of discussed, why is this team not where they should be? Why are they not competing week in and week out with Kansas City for that top spot in the AFC West? Why are they behind the Denver Broncos of all teams who, are starting to pull it together right now? And it's got to be Brandon Staley. I mean, I feel like this team has plateaued and hit their ceiling with him. And they're really only going backwards at this point. Justin Herbert doesn't look like he's getting any better under Brandon Staley. 22 of 37, just 212 yards. And I understand they're like, rain and all that. But again, I don't want to make mistakes for this team. They've got 2 wide receivers down on injured reserve. They should still be putting up points. They should have put up 20, 25 on the Patriots. They just based off talent alone. And, I know we're running low on time, but I expected to see more from the Chargers, more points, whatever it may be. And they've just looked like a complete disappointment from where everyone expected them to be this season.
Yeah, I mean, the college football playoff rankings came out today, and if the Patriots and Chargers were playing in a college football bowl, I think it would be sponsored by like a pillow or a blanket company because you want to go to sleep. So, and you're right, Walter, this is a Chargers team that has the talent to be a Super Bowl contender. Like, that's not hyperbole. They have legit high-end players at multiple positions, and they're under 500 or they're underachieving all the time. Every year they're underachieving. And in this year, of course, they're under 500. I think they're going to have a new coach next year too. But yeah, I mean, it's just 2 different problems, right? The Chargers just underachieve. The Patriots offense just stinks and it's not that good. And look, I 5 weeks left, last comment, 5 weeks left. What do you watch for? Can can the defense still play well? It kind of going into next year, and can some of these younger offense develop a little bit, get a little bit better? Because I think a hidden part of the Patriots' offensive struggles, and we can do this exercise another time, but to think about who on the Patriots' offense is better than they were a year ago individually, right? I don't, maybe Trent Brown. Other than that, I can't think of any. Like, no one developed or improved over the entire offseason and is better than they were a year ago. And I think that's a huge problem, coaching wise, talent wise, player development wise, for themselves all over the place. So it's something that for these last 5 weeks, can some of those younger pieces and guys that will be here next year, can they improve? Can they get better? Can they play well? Because this is a team that has a defense good enough to be in the playoffs. If they can fix their offense this offseason, maybe we'll be having much more fun shows next year, but they got a lot of work to do.
And that's a sad thing too. If Trent Brown happens to be the only one, and it seems like he's the guy that is less than checked in, I'll keep it at that. And that is part of the dysfunction in the locker room. Like, the guy that is like, whatever, I'm still better than the rest of the guys on the offense. Yikes. My final remark here: the Patriots have 148 points on the year scored. That is good for 12.3 per game. The 1990 Patriots scored 181 in a 16-game season. That is in play. That is in play for the Patriots of 2023, as John, you mentioned to start the show, in a league where the offense is set to run wild. Yikes. That's all I got to say. For the rest of everybody else and for our own sanity, we'll move on to the rest of week 13. Thanks for following us on YouTube and joining the conversation. See you, Jason and Shane, in the comments. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week there. For everybody else on TCAM TV, Vimeo, and beyond, let's move on to quarter number 2 of Straight Facts Only.